Greetings, Patrick here. 8 questions with. Running just a tad bit late here. We'll catch up to it here. Oh, welcome to an interesting week, right? As you notice that we were not on last night during the election. Probably a really good thing. I'm sure. I'm sure my language would have gotten really salty. Uh, but uh, but it is what it is. God, just unbelievable. All right. Hi, Amanda. How are you? How are you? Glad you're here. Greetings, Jim. I know, Jim. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I'm scared. I'm telling you, I'm not kidding you. I'm scared shitless. I am scared shitless. If you have daughters in your family or wives in your family, gonna be very very scary time for women in this country. Waffles is here. Jim is here. Some of us are thrilled. Well, they were thrilled back in the 30s too, and that didn't turn out so well. So we'll have to keep our fingers crossed. But I gotta, but that's neither here or there. I'm sure everybody's happy their candidate won. We had some we did have some interesting races, and it's gonna be interesting 4 years. We'll cross our fingers to it. Let's see what happens. Uh, Tonight we are talking with a multi-hyphenated talent. Stacy Newton will be here with us in about 12 minutes or so. She is a screenwriter. She is also a novelist. She is also an actress. She is very, very talented, very, very skilled, and she will be here shortly. And we are ready to chop it up with her. Um, Really delightful sounding person. And what I'm already seeing from Amanda up there is she is looking forward to that as well. So that'll be cool. She says that looking forward to seeing Stacy this evening. She loves her books. So there you go. That's all. That's all I need to know. That we got a talented writer here with us tonight. So let me go ahead and break down what's going on this week because we are breaking it off a little bit. We're doing a show today, tomorrow, and we will be here on Friday. Friday. We didn't do it yesterday. All we did is move everything down one day. So I will tell you what's coming up on the calendar. On the calendar, yay! All right. So tomorrow we will have two gentlemen here. Tomorrow we'll have a screenwriter Greg Hammond will be here with us. Greg has written the two Real has written the two Rio Bravo for the Rio Bravo franchises. He's written screenplays for those. Sam Dobbins is here. Will be here as well. He is an actor and he also is a writer. And they have teamed up to write about a movie, and we will be talking to him about that. Broken. Oh, where's my head at? Broken. You know what? I can almost just say it right there and leave it right there, right? But their movie will be coming out shortly, and actually they're trying to raise money for it, and we were talking to them about that. Um, I'm sort of discombobulated today, to tell you the honest to heaven truth. Um, I'm all day. I've been working on the show, and then I get here, and I'm just like, I'm confused of what to do, what to say. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I don't, but at the same time, I know it's not necessarily the place for to talk about it, but if anybody knows me at all, knows it's going to come out. Um, Oh yeah, that was a lot of fun, Jim. You guys were chopping it up yesterday. That was a lot of fun. Uh, that was you guys really were on fire yesterday. Naming some great talents. Um, yeah, that was a good show. Good show. Movie talk with Jim, Sean, and Kenny. That was a lot of fun. Let's see. On Friday, We'll be having. I don't know how to say his last name. I'm not going to kill it. I'm not going to kill. I've had a lot of hard names this month to pronounce. I don't want to kill anybody's name. Luckily for me, he gave us his first and his middle name. So we will be we will be having Louis Rocky on a Friday. He's going to be talking to us about his brand new movie from Gravitas Ventures called Director's Cut. I've seen the previews of that movie and it looks outstanding. It looks really cool. Like I said before, Gravitas Ventures has been on fire lately. They have producing a lot of cool movies as of late. They before they were doing more indie dramas, but it seems like now they're shifting their eye over to horror. And who's to blame them since horror's been having such a massive run of success? So why not jump in on it? Hi Anthony, how are you? All right, he's up to 2006. Let me know when you get up to 2024, so we can skip the World Series. So Louis Rocky will be here on Friday, and let's see, on the 17th, on the 14th next week, we will be welcoming in Lady Sasha will be here. Lady Sasha she is also a fellow horror tuber. We will be talking to her about her movies. She also dabbles a little bit in fashion too, and because we're sort of well-rounded like that. So we'll probably be talking a little bit of fashion with Lady Sasha as well. Um, but she'll be here next Tuesday at 8 o'clock. That'll be a lot of fun. I've been wanting to talk to her for quite a while, and so I've seen her on different channels on different streams, and she is a terrific speaker and knows quite a bit about the horror movies, the world of horror. So we'll be talking to her on Tuesday. Wednesday we have Chase Cortez de Vargas will be here with us, and she is ultra talented as well. She's an actress. She's also been she's going to be a first time film director. She is gathering her pieces together to launch her first film, and we will be talking with her on the 13th at 8 o'clock. I hope I said her first name right. I probably got the right name right, but I probably messed up the first name, right? That's And then of course on the 14th, a week from tomorrow, will be our good friend Michael, also known as Heroic Waffles. Waffles is back on the tube. He is cranking it out. He found his old channel. I don't know how you did that, Michael, but thank God you did. So we'll go back to his old channel. He had 570 subs there when he went on his break. So I was worried that he was to start all the way from the beginning, but luckily he got his old channel back, and he is rocking and rolling. So there's a lot of great content on that, and we will put that link up down in his description box so you guys can check out his old page. And then on the 17th, the last thing I'll mention on the 17th, we'll be doing a dual stream with our good friend JT from JT's Horror Discussions, also known as JT, aka the Nat. The Midnight Society will ride in again on the 17th of November, and we will be discussing Stephen King. We're going to do Clash of the Titans again. Last time we did comedies. This time we're doing Stephen King. Clash of the Titans is not a versus series. It's basically we talk about our favorite Stephen King movie and what makes it a little bit, our favorite. Waffles will be talking about Waffles will be JT will be talking about Misery with Kathy Bates, who's starring in the brand new Matlock TV series and absolutely crushing it. And I will be talking about Cujo from 1983, and that is a terrific movie. It is one of the most unique horror films that you'll ever will see, and it definitely has to be, for me anyway, in the top 5 Stephen King adaptations. Cujo is a mind blower. It's a mind blower. All right, so that's what's going on for the channel. Fighting off a cold. fighting off everything else. That's me and the cheetah versus everybody. Um, so I still don't feel myself, which obviously is coming through here. But I'm sure that once Stacy gets here, we will chop it up. Hi, Betty J. How are you? How are you? I have not forgotten you. I have not forgotten you. I'm trying to get my sorry can up to 100%. Um, yeah, and it's been really weird weather-wise here in Michigan too. It is it's bizarre weather. It is overcast, it is gray, it is gloomy, and it is hot. It is hot here. I went to the library yesterday before I went to vote, and got out in the car, and it looked like the sky was just gonna break open. Got outside, and all of a sudden it was just warm. It was really you grab a sweater, and you go thinking it's gonna rain all over you, and it didn't rain. Well, it rained a little bit last night, but during the day when it looked so doom and gloom, it didn't rain a drop. It was like 70. I think it was like 70 degrees yesterday. No thunderstorms either. With the weather that humid and warm, you expect to get thunderstorms? No, not at all. So says we're gonna have a a cold winter. You know, we did have a cold winter last year, but we didn't have very much snow. Our snow was very little last year. Um, I dare say I think it probably snowed the least amount since I've been to Michigan. Uh, though I do know that there is snow in Canada. Our friend Shirley is up there. She is working at a really big hotel, and she puts out her short videos, and in it you can see it's snowing over there. They've had a blizzard, and they have snow on the ground, and yeah. All right, let me go ahead and make sure. I'm gonna pop open my message machine here, make sure that our good friend Stacy is able to get in. Okay. Yep, she's still good. She's still good. So yeah, it was interesting last night. I really didn't poke around other than went over to the, movie talk. You know, I kept on. I talked to my brother yesterday, and man, we were just we're just chopping it up about it. It was really hard to get away from, um, which I did. The only thing I did was I just kept running CNN, but I didn't go to any groups or anything or any chats or anything like that to talk about it because really, what can we really do? You know, we can't really talk about it. It's just, uh, but you sort of got the inkling. You sort of got the inkling on CNN when you went over there for the first time. You looked and already saw that. Uh, uh, I gotta say this. Okay, so this might get me some heat, but I'm just gonna say it anyway. Man, I gotta tell you, I felt sorry for Kamala Harris yesterday. She had a really tough job to do with very little support. Um, the fact that she got 223 votes really, you know, yeah, Trump got his 276, but for Kamala to get 223, and think about it, she didn't do anything really. I mean, she's vice president. Vice presidents are always behind the scenes. The public never sees what a vice president really does. And that's the same thing with Kamala Harris. For a lot of people, the first time they really ever saw her at all was when Biden retired. You know, Biden left the race, and she took over with you know, with much to go. Um, it's just frustrating. It's frustrating. I felt bad for her coming in there and trying to pick up the pieces. And I thought she did a great job, considering. Um, my friend Lon mentioned that he thought that maybe America still wasn't ready for an American president, for a woman president. I don't think that's the case at all. I think America is ready for a woman president, um, but it has to be, you know, it has to. And again, what do I know, right? I mean, with everything now going against women, maybe that is their way of reacting, of men reacting to saying that they don't trust a woman to lead, which is a bunch of bullshit, obviously. Um, There's been so many great women leaders in history at various different countries, history makers. So why not us? Why has it been so long? You know, this country's this country's going to be 300 years old by the 70s, and we haven't had a woman leader. I mean, how can we be a progressive country or a country that leads by example when we can't even fix our own wagon? So, but I did think that Kamala did a great job. Like I said, I do think that she was left out to dry by the DNC, and I'll say that again: the Democrats left her out to dry. They didn't give her any chance at all. Uh, there's nobody that could have did what she did yesterday. Nobody. I thought about that. I said, well, what if Gavin Newsom had come in there? It would have been the same result. You can't come over there and pick up the pieces a mere 3 or 4 months out of a general election when the person you're campaigning against has had over 4 years. I mean, think about it. Trump's been campaigning since he left office. So, he's had all that time to work, work, work. And of course, and then you expect someone to come in there and pick up the pieces afterwards. It's just, it's like she's good, but she's not that good. Nor is anybody else. Yes, we will be talking with Stacy here. She has written several books. As a matter of fact, we will be talking to her about her writing. Um, she is, like I said, she is a very skilled writer, and I can't wait to talk to her about her writing and where she gets her ideas from. That's always fun too, right? So here comes the doorbell. Here comes the doorbell. So help me welcome in our guest for today, Stacy Newton.
Hi.
Greetings.
Hello.
Good, good. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you doing today? Doing great. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
I
feedback
think
is on you.
feedback is on you.
So can you
So
turn
can you
down
turn down
turn down the
turn down
volume
the
on your
volume on
phone?
your monitor? Oh, I thought my volume was already on. It says it's already on.
Turn it
Turn
down.
it down. Oh, I'm sorry. How do I turn it down?
Uh,
Um,
Go to the
Go to the
lower right
lower
hand
right hand
corner,
corner,
and if you
and
go
if
to
you go
your
to the
monitor,
monitor,
then you
and then
click
you
on
click on
that,
that,
it'll tell
it'll
you where
tell
the
you where the
sound is.
sound is. I'm looking.
Let's
Sorry,
see.
I don't see
You
it
see,
anywhere.
you see the
See the
timer. It
timer. It
says
says
what time is it?
Oh,
There's a little clock.
there's
There's
a
a clock
clock
on
on
the
the
right
right
hand
hand
corner.
corner. On my screen, all I see is you and me.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Are
Are
you
you
okay?
okay?
Are you
Are you
talking to
talking
a
to a
phone
phone
or
or
through
through
a
my
computer?
laptop? My laptop.
Okay.
Okay.
You know where
You
the
know where the
sound? You
sound?
know where the
You know where the
volume is?
volume is?
Where the sound is at?
Yeah, I have a mic and it only shows that I can mute it, but it doesn't show to turn it up or down.
Let's see, one,
See, one,
two.
two.
Be back.
Be back. Is it too loud?
Yeah,
Yeah,
if the sound is up, that's why I'm
flying
feedback.
feedback.
You hear me
Hear me
twice?
twice? Oh. Yeah, I checked it before I came on, so I don't know. I don't know what to do. I'm sorry.
Okay, you
Okay,
sound
you sound
perfect.
perfect. Do what?
You sound
You sound
great.
great.
It's
Oh.
just that on my
On
side,
my side,
I'm
I'm
feedbacking.
feedbacking. Well, you sound okay on my end.
You don't.
You don't.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a
it's a delay.
delay. Oh no. I
Okay,
don't know how
try.
to fix it on my end. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Go
Okay.
ahead and try to mute it. Hello? Testing 1, 2. Go ahead and speak. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I don't think she can hear me. Oh, okay, good. Okay, go ahead. Okay. Now, go ahead and say something. Say hello. Oh, she can't hear me now. Ah, okay. Where is anybody in the chat? Where is the sound? Where's the sound at on a laptop? Uh, let's see. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I'm off. I'm off. Uh, go. Okay. Go ahead and unmute. Go ahead and unmute. She can hear me, but she can't speak. So go ahead. Go ahead and unmute me.
Okay. I unmuted you.
Okay. 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 Now
Okay,
let's
now
see.
let's see.
No, my
No,
my sound is
my
all the
screen
way
is all
down.
the way down.
I only have
I
one
only have one
browser.
browser.
Let's see.
Let's see.
Do you
Do
have
you have
a
a
button
button
called
called
push to
push to
talk?
talk?
Uh, that says what?
It says
It says
push
push
to
to
talk.
talk.
I don't think so. No. On my laptop? No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's try
This
one
probably
more
wasn't
thing.
anything.
Let's have you
Have
go.
you go.
Let's have you
Let's have
go
you go
out
out
and then
Okay.
come back
come back
in.
in.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be my next suggestion. We'll see if she has headphones. Boy, I have not seen that in a long time. Only when I forget to turn down only when I turn, yeah. Nope, now I know it's not me. I turned down my sound. No, tech foo. I like that. Tech foo. Yeah, it's always easy to turn down the volume, on your computer. And like that's what I do. I turn down the volume on my computer and just talk through my phone, and it's fine. I can't do both. Um, so, but then again, a lot of people, it's sometimes people don't do face to face very often. Oh, that'd probably be it. Oh, you know what? I'll ask her that. I'll have to ask her about the browser. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's see if this works.
Is that better?
So we
So
got.
we got.
Do you have browsers open?
No. Just this.
Okay. Okay. Uh,
But I did find the microphone on my laptop and I did turn it down.
okay.
Okay.
But that
Still
didn't
no.
help.
No.
No.
Okay.
The laptop might be probably picking up the sound from the phone speak. Do you have headphones?
I do not.
Okay.
Sorry.
No.
No.
It's okay. Yeah. Well, unfortunately, if you try to hear back and hit replay, though, you would hear. So you would hear me talking twice like this, and nobody's interested in that.
Um,
Yeah, I okay. Try turning down your sound. We're not mute it, but just turn it down.
it won't let me. I can only mute it or have it on like this because that's what I did with the laptop microphone. I turned it down.
Okay. Oh, so you turn down the volume on your laptop?
Correct.
That's really weird. You know what? Let me go back out and come back in. Let me do that.
Okay.
Testing 1, 2.
Oh, I can really hear the echo on your end.
Yeah.
Oh, not now, but I did earlier when you just came on.
It says here, do you have a phone you can use to listen? Yeah.
Yes, I
Okay.
want to make sure that it's charged and yes, I have a phone. Yes, I do.
Okay. So let's do that.
Okay.
Oh boy. Give her a couple minutes to do this. It's always exciting, right? This is why I never edit anything, because you just, I don't know why, it just seems more real to life sometimes when problems happens. Hello, Jennifer. How are you? Hopefully you're doing well. We'll be here in a minute, and we're hopefully ready to rock and roll. And yeah, that does happen. It hasn't happened very often. Like I said, most of the time I always make sure my sound is down, because that happens when mine, when if I don't leave it up, I instantly recognize it when I don't, because it feeds back like that. But I had already turned down my volume. Um, I generally turn it down about 7:30. I have a little steps I take before I come onto the show and do the show, and one of them is about 7:30. I go ahead and I turn down the volume so I don't have to do it the last minute. So, um, yeah, you know what though? This is also um, this also tells me too. Sometimes people don't do, like, this was all new to me a few years ago. Like, for a lot of us, this was brand new, and we had to learn as we went along to do it. Um, Sometimes I look and see exactly how many live streams I've done, and it's just like, wow, but even then, doesn't mean I know anything, because obviously I don't, because I can't help our poor guest tonight. Uh, but it does happen. Okay. I'm just so used to not really have to check for anybody these days. It's very rare. The only time I ever do pre-show really is when I do a show in Los Angeles or I do a show in Europe. But most of the time, East Coast or Central Time, I never have any problems now. I Not at all. Um, except for, like I said, okay, here we go. All right, testing 1, 2, and we are there. Woohoo.
Good. Okay.
So we're ready to rock. All right. So yeah, I was still just saying that most of the time when we have flare-ups like this, for tech flare-ups, it's generally like in Europe, or in Los Angeles. Los Angeles is it would blow your mind, Cece, how hard it is to get a stable connection in Los Angeles, of all places. Uh, it's like, wow, you would think that'd be, California, home of Silicon Valley, they would have some of the best, but no, not at all. And but you're here now. We're here now. The chat's here now. We have fellow writers, with fellow creatives in the chat. We also have your friend. I hope that she stayed with us. My friend Zan is here, and let's see. Your friend Amanda is here. I hope Amanda is
Okay.
still here. I hope we didn't. Hopefully you didn't chase Amanda away. Hopefully she's still here, and Zan is still here. Uh, all right, so let's get this ball game started. So, how was your day?
Oh, good. Thank you. It's been really busy. I've had an incredibly busy month, but excellent month because it's kind of like nearing down for the end of the year, So all of the projects that I've been working on from summer to through fall are finishing up. And now I'm starting on the next projects for the next year. So I'm very blessed, but it's been very busy.
Now, do you have like to help keep track of your going on? Do you have like do you use a calendar? Like I use a calendar for every time I do the show here. I grab one of these and I just fill it up as I go on. Do you use that physical calendar, or do you have it all on your phone?
I actually no, I don't do anything on my phone because I feel like sometimes, as we see, technology is not always trustworthy. So I have a huge calendar and that I put everything on a Sharpie, and then I have like a planner with the same information. And then I already have like a 2025 that I'm already putting projects in for 2025 and deadlines.
Uh, our friend Matt is here. Our chat is here, and our friend Matt saying, "Sorry for the tech issues, but it's all good. It happens to us all." And thanks for coming in, Matt. Hey, Renee, how are you? How are you? See, she's in LA, so she knows what I'm talking about as far as working on our tech issues. So I like that. I like that big calendar. You're definitely my type of professional. Because you got to have the calendar. As soon as you get done, you go ahead and you start writing it out. And I
Yes,
use a I
yes.
use a pen, so sometimes my calendar can get really. It can get it goes from looking really like sane, like a sane person wrote on it, to suddenly like it looks if you look at it now, it looks like a mad doctor got a hold of it because there's all these
Yes,
flaws and there's all these scratches off and ads on and but it makes it more interesting, right? I mean, when you
yes.
go to a big
There
calendar,
are 2 yes, exactly. Because there are 2 tools that I think are very important, and one is a pencil with an eraser. Yes, I'm very old-timey, and that's okay, and whiteout. I know that sounds really cliché, but I have a lot of clients and we're rearranging things and what might have worked a month ago. Okay, now we're going to do it all on Tuesdays, or we're going to meet on Wednesdays. And then during that time, I have other things. Yeah. So, yeah, I've learned to write everything in pencil. And then after 24, 48 hours, then I use everything with ink.
it's funny. It's funny. It's like I heard this. I heard this. I heard this on the radio, and normally I would have laughed at this, but I saw it for myself yesterday when I went to vote. They were commenting how some people they can't sign their names. They don't know how to
Oh,
sign. They don't know how to sign their names. They don't get taught cursive, so they don't know
right.
how to sign. And so I saw that yesterday at the polls. I saw like two or three young people, and they're like, "I don't know how to write. I don't know how to sign. What do you mean sign my name? What do you mean by that?" They didn't know how to
Oh,
sign it.
wow.
Like, I'm going
And
like,
they
well,
probably don't do checks either, because checks you sign your name.
right. And I'm going like, well, you guys can fix that. All you need to do is just zip on over to your local Dollar Tree, grab a calendar, and start writing, writing what's coming up on your schedule. That'll get you. That'll fix you. So you are getting ready. I mean, first of all, you're a what we call multi hyphenate. So you are a writer. You're going to be a film director, and you're a screenwriter, among many other talents. Um, so I guess really what I have to do is go back to your beginning and find out how you got to where you're at today. Uh,
Yes.
Obviously through writing. But what kind of writing did you discover yourself writing first? Were you like a diary person, or were you a story person? Uh, how did you fall in love with writing?
Yes. Actually, very young. As long as I can remember to hold a pencil or a pen, I did always journal, but I used to write myself into TV shows and movies. And I guess it's kind of how I started, like being really passionate about characters and, developing a type of writing, even though I didn't know any kind of format, you know? So my first career was teaching. I'm actually Montessori certified in pre-K teaching. So I was a teacher for several years. And then I decided to send in some of my material writing ideas to a director, actor, Hollywood producer in Los Angeles. And he liked my writing. He really thought I had some potential. And he invited me to a premiere and I went. I loved, I thought this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. So within the year, I put in my 2 week notice in teaching and found an apartment. I sold my home that I had been in years in Houston. I'm originally from Houston. And that's where it all started. Every weekend I was in LA, every weekend. And then I would come home and I'd work until I thought, this is it. I just need to make the move. And so there in LA was really when I kind of found out how to really format screenplays and I got into acting and filming and yeah, my whole entire life changed after that.
Now, was acting something you want did was this something you wanted to do, or did you feel like you wanted to do it so it could help your writing? So that now you've seen it through a director's eye or through a actor's eyes, how they read a script, how they work a script, how they build characters. Did you act along that side so you could get an idea what it was like and how it would improve your writing, or did you get the acting bug through your writing?
Now, I actually kind of fell into acting because the director, actor, producer I was with felt like we should all know how to write screenplays and that we should all be able to act. And so I was fortunate. I was in 2 of his films. One was a major film, one was an independent film. And after that, I just kind of fell into acting and I loved it. And yeah, I've been in several independent films. But I will tell you, with that experience, has made me a better film writer because when I first started out, I was like, I didn't know anything like about acting or what does a producer do or a director, what is a screenplay, it was just all so new to me.
I think that question still is up in the air for a lot of people. Is exactly what does a producer do? Uh, because there's a lot of producers that do a lot of different things for a lot of for a
Yes.
lot of different projects. It's funny. It's like you would think that after I get this a lot. Like I get a person saying you talk to a lot of actors and directors and whatnot, and I always say because you never get the same answer twice. And it really is the truth. And I'm thinking it's really like that when it comes down to producers. It's like, so what do you do? And it's always so. I mean, from it's huge. The gap is huge for a lot of
Yes.
for what they do and how they do it. Um, Now, when you were teaching, did any of this? I mean, did any of this come up? I mean, when you were just before you got into it, did you sit at home and when you were grading papers or what have you? Did you sit there and think about this? Did you start practicing writing back then? And like I said, were you
Yes, I've always had a passion like for writing. And so then, once I started going through college and, really kind of perfecting my writing, I got very serious about, well, if I'm going to be well known as an writer, but I don't know anything about film writing, what do I do? And so I had several people tell me, you should write a book. And I thought, okay, I can do that. So actually, I wrote a couple of books, but I also had a friend who found this director's information for me actually on Facebook. He had a link. So I was fortunate to be able to kind of reach out to him. Um, I kind of feel like all the alignments were kind of working to my favor during that time because I wrote my book to be what my first book was Angels Survive, which is a romance mystery Hollywood book to kind of help facilitate my career. Because I mean, nobody knew who I was, right? I mean, so I felt like I had to start on some kind of platform. And so that's what I did. I wrote my first book.
Now, yeah, you have to admit that's probably one really cool thing about social media goes, before social media, I mean, there's just no way in hell anybody's going to get a hold of anybody. Like
Yes,
if you send in your book cold, cold, it came in through the mail and out through the shredder. It's just there's just no way of ever getting anything to anybody on any level before social media. And this is one positive aspect about it. I mean, I wouldn't be able to do this show without social media.
right.
I mean, there's just no way in hell I could get, the guests that I get just by, like, how would I do that? Um, so for you to be able to reach out and send a director one of your, a script or your stories,
Yes,
that is one of the great positive things about social media goes as far as the film industry goes, that you can reach out and send something to somebody and actually know that it got read, without going through, agent or PR person or manager. You you could actually go straight to that person and sit there and say, "Here you go. If you can't give me feedback, that's awesome. I just wanted you to see it." And then if you do get it, all the more power to you. Um,
no, that's very true. And I've been very blessed with the connections, especially with that connection, because when I moved to LA, I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anyone. I'd lived in Houston my whole entire life, and I thought, okay, so I'm going to totally relocate for this passion of mine, and I don't know anyone in Los Angeles. So I want you to know, even though I was there every weekend, every single person I met at the studio, I became friends with on Facebook. So
right.
by the time within that year, I actually made the move within the year, had my apartment. I knew a lot of people. I'd already started meeting people and filming, and then, that made the transition a lot smoother. Wouldn't say easier. It was
I think
hard
that
to leave Houston to everything that I know, was familiar with.
well,
Um,
I think
but
the
it
fact
did
that
make the
you
transition much smoother.
do you think having your background being a school teacher helped you with that? I mean, because listen, a lot of these people they get hundreds of requests a week. They're everybody's always looking for attention. They're always looking for that hot script. It's to be a star. Sometimes it's a director or a producer. It could be hell on earth because everybody wants them. Everybody's pulling on that cape. You know, um,
Yes.
and it's just like, like I tell my friends, I tell them that they're going to a convention and say, I'm going to go talk to so and so about coming onto a show. And I always tell them the same thing. I say, don't do it there. Don't do it there. The one thing that a lot of these people really cherish is their privacy. So when you do get that invite from someone says, yes, please send that to me, or I'll be happy to look at it. That's golden because they are going to look at it.
Yes, definitely.
They are. They're not just gonna say, "Yeah, whatever, I'll put it in my backpack and that's gonna be the end of it." Uh, but Houston, though, Houston is like a massive city. Was it our third or fourth largest city? Was there not a
Yes.
film? Was there not a film community in Houston that you could have
I
connected
mean,
with?
I think they tried filming kind of in the 80s, 90s, but I don't know, it didn't really go very well. Um, there has been a couple of people who have been very successful filming, but I think a lot of our filming has been in Austin, Texas, though,
Yeah,
too. Because I know during COVID, a lot of Hollywood or filming people in California moved to Austin and Georgia, you know?
right.
Um, and now there's a little bit more filming in Houston. But I mean, what was it? We had RoboCop. I don't even know if anybody's ever, you know, that was filmed in Houston.
The first
And
RoboCop or the second one?
the first one,
Really? Was it? Was
they
I thought?
shot some actual scenes, believe it or not, in Houston. Yeah,
Oh my God, how could they do that? I mean, that was been. See, to me, it's like that's a lot of hard work for a set designer. Whereas to Detroit, all you have to do is just set up the camera and shoot. You don't have to do anything for it. Uh,
I know, right? And also Terms of Endearment. I mean, I remember that was actually filmed at one of my friends' houses and like this kind of interesting neighborhood in Houston. And I remember Jack Nicholson and like all these celebrities. It used to be kind of like a big deal. That was like our first kind of bite of Hollywood.
right,
But it
right.
didn't really sustain itself. It
Yeah.
was just kind of hard. And the weather, I mean, it's 110 degrees and humid. I don't know. I think sometimes the weather might have kind of Houston's not the favorable place to film at times.
Uh, when you write novels versus screenplays, how do is your writing the same? Is it the same mind frame when you sit down to write? Do you write novels the same as you do screenplays, or is it a whole different mindset for you to when you
Oh, yes. When I first started writing books, and then I was expected to write a script because, a script is only for what, an hour and a half, 2 hours. So then that's what, 120 pages. When you write a book, you can have 500 pages. You can write as many pages as you want. But in a script, which I kind of call it the blueprint for a director, um, you really have to condense your like everything into a script because I remember how hard that change was for me into condensing something into 120 pages.
Yeah, you know what? I found this out. I found out that the writing process, not only does it go to the length of the film, but the length of
Right.
the film goes to the budget of the film. I did not know that
Yes,
until last
exactly.
week. Isn't that something? I had no idea. I just thought their movie was 80 minutes long. It was 80 minutes long. It was what the story said, but I didn't find out that it's it's the length is dictated by the budget. That's crazy.
Yes,
Let's go back to
I
the chat
know,
real
right?
quick.
It is.
Let's see. Snow says way back in the past, it was a huge benefit to becoming a published writer to have a college degree in literature. Where did you go to university at?
Actually, I have three different degrees. I started at Pine Manor College in Boston, well, Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts, which is near Boston. And then I was there for a couple of years. I got my AA actually in English and philosophy. I wasn't crazy about the weather. I'll be very honest. I'm more of a LA, Texas, Florida kind of person. So I came back to Houston and I went to Art Institute, got my degree in fashion. And I really wanted to do fashion for a little bit, but then I don't know, my heart was really tugging for me to do writing. So I don't have any kind of specific degree in writing. not in like novel writing. Most of my training has been in film writing, but I mean, I feel like personally, to be really successful as a writer, a novel author, I don't really think you need any kind of specific degree, you know? I mean, I think you just really need to have a passion, and I think everything kind of falls into place.
Did it help? Does because we're talking about how getting a script to a contact. You mentioned
Right.
before making connections and whatnot. Is it the same for a writer now? I mean, if you're writing a book, I mean, isn't it helpful to have connections? Like when you first published your first book, did you know the publisher at all before you submitted your before your book in, or did anybody recommend it?
Um, no, because first, my main thing was just kind of getting my work out there, right? So I published on Amazon first because I feel like as a first time writer, my advice that I give a lot of my clients or people that ask for my advice is that publish on Amazon. Everybody thinks, oh, I should have a literary agent, and then, I'm going to make money if I get to Random House and Penguin, which is great. I mean, I'm not saying any of that. That it takes a long time to query letters to literary agents. And if you self publish already on Amazon, your connections that you have on Facebook, they're already like looking at your book. I feel like, or even LinkedIn, you get a lot more of a connection when you publish on like a self, like on a platform like Amazon. And then later, you can always take your book off. That's what I did. I published on Amazon first, and then I took it off. And then I found a publisher that was willing to publish, my book. And then they put it on for me.
When you say that you
And that's
found a
how I got
publisher,
into Barnes and Nobles and did all my book signing. And that was kind of like my first exposure to really being a published writer.
now when you said that when they found you, discovered you, and put you out there, uh, did they? I mean, you didn't have to pay them for that, right? I mean, there's no.
That
Is
is
there?
correct.
Okay, good. Man, I just can't stand that pay to play. I know with the published books, the ebooks, I just yeah. I'm not it's hard for that. I mean, because there's so many out there. If you go there and type in Amazon, you type in novels, you'll see somebody's book out there and they'll say rank number, like 20,000th in mystery. And you're sitting there going like, how the hell can you how can you advance to go, how can you sell anything when you're just so lost? To me, I think, the printed book is just the way to go. Right? I mean, do you feel
Yes,
like you would
yes.
sell more on Barnes& and Noble's bookshelves than you do on a ebook site?
Uh, yes, but the good thing about Barnes and Noble, like people had already heard of me already because I was already on Amazon, which was already helpful. So once I got to Barnes and Noble and I was doing my book signings and I started my book launch and all that, then people were kind of familiar with me too. And I think, well, and I also have a website that I keep up with, which I think is very important as a writer. Um, and
Yeah,
then I have my IMBD, which I do all my film writing on that. So, I know I'm kind of have a lot of different types of writings go on.
I'm gonna agree with you 100% about that. The personal website as we know it, it used to be a massive part of your business. Like if you're an artist, you had to have a personal
Mhm.
website. I think for actors and probably musicians in some sense, I think that it has actually it's gotten less important. But I still think for writers, I think it's vital that you have a personal website.
Oh,
I think it's
yes. No,
absolutely I
that's
think it's
true because
absolutely
when I was approached, I've a couple of literary agents And that's the first thing they do. And also Barnes and Noble, they wanted to have a website, like what was my website. So it's important to have that. And then when people see you on Amazon, or they see your, like you're marketing your books on Facebook, or, like social media, I've had a lot of traffic on my website of different types of, I get calls every day. Oh, we're going to do this festival, book festival or book fair. And, it's very helpful to have that, I think.
Yes, I do too. I think personal
It's kind of
websites.
like your resume.
Exactly. And I think for a writer, it's more important to have that than it is, say, an actor or a singer, singer songwriter.
Yes.
Basically, because they have other sites. They have Spotify, they have SoundCamp, they have all sorts of different places where they can place their music, or even a bloggers. Bloggers can put their podcasting. They have a lot of places they can put their information out there. But for a writer, a book writer, a novelist, I think it's always good to have that here, right here, so you can go to their site. Like I just posted your site again and pinned it, so people can go there, take a look at your files, see how you see, and get the order of books. For someone like me, I like reading books in the order that they were published.
Oh,
My new book came out. Okay, I want to see their first book. I want to, especially if you like the person's first book, you do read the first book, and all of a sudden it's like, I want to get the other one. So,
right.
I think it's really cool that you can go to your website or to Barnes and Noble. Like you said, you can pick up my hardback at Barnes and Noble. So now I can go there and pick it up and support it that way. Um, but I think a lot of the times where the various websites for everybody else, I think that they can get away with that. But writers, I'm with you. See, let me go back to the chat real quick. Yeah, you guys are really engaged today. Uh, this is awesome. Uh, uh,
Oh, good.
okay, the king of the spectacular just walked in. Hey, Hobbs. See, you know what? Though, I'm not. Okay, it says way back in the. Okay, we read that one. Now, as far as the entertainment world goes, Stacy, how is Texas? I mean, in your opinion, is Texas on the way up, or
Oh,
just
yes.
still stuck in Austin with South by Southwest?
Oh, well, as far as I know, a lot of the filming has been in Austin. Like, they have their Southwest by Southwest, and of course, the music is so big. But I've noticed Austin has been such a huge hub for the Austin Film Festival. And now, since COVID, since the pandemic, I think it's even more because so many people now, we do a lot of filming. And I'll tell you, during COVID, I did a lot of filming because everything was so shut down everywhere else. Uh, There was a lot of filming in Louisiana, New Orleans, and Louisiana, Georgia. I've been filming, yeah, lots of different places, besides Zella.
Yeah, that's Tom mentioned that Houston Shopping Mall was used for Logan's Run in the 1970s.
Oh, yes, that's right. And the Urban Cowboy too. I forgot about
Or
that with
yes,
John
yeah,
Travolta.
Mickey Gillies. Yeah, that was shot at Gillies. That's right.
Yep.
Um, I see.
I'd forgotten about Logan's Run. Yeah.
Yeah. See, Snow. My friend, her friend was a master mason and put in the flooring for a lot of the movie sets in Alberta, Canada. Uh,
Oh, very interesting.
some guys commenting how much she loved Jenny Agooter. Uh, oh wait, that's me. Oh. Let's see. Tom says he writes too. He has 12 boxes of drawings and stories. I find it very relaxing. Okay, so Tom just brought up something really interesting, and I'll ask you this too. Um,
Okay.
do you have a writer's box, like where you write stuff and you don't complete it, but you put it in a box and put it underneath the bed to come back and
You
revisit it?
know, I'm so OCD. When I start something, I can't. I have to finish it. Like I'll be up 24, 48 hours. And I was up for 4 days when I wrote Creatures of the Night. When I start a project, I have to finish it.
Wow, that's
So
gotta be
I
hard.
actually go to not to like Walmart and I buy like the 99-cent little notebooks, and that's how I start all of my stories, even my scripts, everything. Whatever is in my head, that's what I write down. And then I can start breaking it down, like this is chapter 1, this is chapter 2, and then, things start changing. But no, that's very interesting. I've never heard of a, did you call it a story box?
A writer's box.
A writer's box,
So
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
they'll do
Oh,
exactly what
that's
you
very
do.
cool.
They'll write and they'll handwrite the long write, or they'll type it
Right.
up. They'll hit that proverbial wall, writer's wall, and like, okay, I can't move anything with it now, but I like it. I'm gonna put it in a box. It could be up there for a couple of years. They'll come back and revisit it on a snowy day or rainy day.
Oh.
Work on it. Um, that's incredible. 24 to 48 hours. Do you find though, but if you write like that, do you find yourself toward the end of like, if I mean, I can see someone writing for 6 or 7 hours, but after that, doesn't the quality of the work start to suffer a little bit? Yeah. Have
It's
you gone
all
back and
I'm doing is putting the story that's inside my head from the beginning, middle, and ending down. Now, sometimes the ending changes, sometimes the beginning is different, but I don't get writer's block because it's all written down. It's already on paper.
then you
So
turn around
then
and
I
then
can
you
meticulously start dissecting it, saying, oh, this is my antagonist. This guy isn't going to be not, then I can really start kind of developing my characters because there's already a storyline. Like I already know where this story is going.
wow, that's intense. I've never heard anybody write like that. Most of the time, they can
Yes.
write to a
Oh, you
certain
should
area.
see. I wish I could show you like just boxes, and I have boxes in storage of just
That's a writer's box.
notebooks.
That's a writer's box. You have a writer's box.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, I guess I do.
So you write there, then you can just you go back there and you can pull them out, and then you do surgery on them, right? I mean, do you find yourself going back to some of your stories and going back there and saying, okay, I can improve on this, or I can move this
Oh,
around? And
yes,
yeah,
definitely. The ones that I haven't published, I mean, yeah, of course. I've got several, like, scripts and stories that I'm now kind of in the process of, refining, retuning, and everything that I'll publish, yeah,
now
within the
I
new
take it
year.
I take it like most writers always have one thing in common, that is you are a solitary creature when it comes down to your writing. Do you like to write by yourself, or
Oh,
can you
no.
go outside?
Yes, yes. I like writing books by myself, although I will say my next book coming out, Philomena, I co-wrote, but Neil Hamill, who is unfortunately he passed away before the book was is going to be published this week. He came up with the idea with the story of Philomena, Russian supermodel spy, and I wrote it. Like I came up with all the other, developments, and then we kind of came together with everything. Um, that was my only book that I've really actually ever co-written, which that was, I mean, I love that. It kind of depends on who I'm with, but I love Neil, so that was a great experience. A lot of my scripts I've been kind of co-writing. I love writing as a team with script writing.
Let me ask you this: as a novelist, this is one of the something I've talked about with other novelists before, but I'd like to hear your opinion. So, what do you think of the fact that where book or publishers will take somebody like a James Patterson, or any other writers, and they have like that are still living, um, and they'll like a lot of writers do that now, like and that is they'll put their name on the top of the book, like James Patterson, and then underneath it, it's somebody else doing the writing. it's based maybe off the, they're basically using the star author's name
Yeah.
to sell books. Are you a fan of that? Are you a fan of that technique, or do you feel like if you write it, your name goes on the cover? If you
That is
didn't,
correct. That's how I feel about it.
yeah.
Yes, exactly. I mean, unless you're like a high profiler or, like a celebrity, politician, whatever, and you don't know how to write, which is fine. And you hire a ghostwriter or somebody to professionally write, which I think is fine. I don't see anything harm in that because it is basically your story, just somebody else is writing that. But I think if it's like stories or like fiction, oh no, that you should have the author on the cover who actually wrote that book.
Tom just mentioned he read this ghost story by Peter Straub, and I read that when I was a kid. That's a great book. That's a great book. Who are some of your favorite writers, Stacy? I mean, before we get into
Yes.
screenwriting and the movie, but who are some of your favorite writers growing up that influenced you to become a writer? And which writers do you find you enjoy now? Do you like to read other people's work, or
Oh, I do. I do. I mean, I love J.K. Rowling. I think she's absolutely amazing. And I guess I can kind of relate to her because she was a teacher, and she has a fascinating story of how she came up with her ideas and then like her whole journey. And then Anne Rice. Oh, I love Anne Rice. She is by far one of my favorite all-time writers. Um, because now I love Stephen King. His writing, his characters, he does more story, I think, than character development. For Anne Rice, she just knows something about human touch. She knows how to make vampires very human creatures. She just has that ability. And ever since I started reading her books, I always wanted to make like my horror or even just, any of my characters to really have like that. Like you want to love them and you want to hate them. I
right?
want my readers to have like feel it, like have that passion and yeah, like, oh, we hated this character. He was horrible, but we understood why he was like that or she was like that. I think Anne Rice does an excellent, like a brilliant job doing that.
I read
But
a few
yeah,
of her books. I thought she was a super strong writer.
yes,
I read Interview with a Vampire. I thought that was a very good book. I thought she was great. I enjoyed reading her as well. Okay, now we opened up the Pandora's box with this question, so that's great. I love J.K. Rowling myself. I love her Harry Potter series.
yes,
It's hers. It's hers alone, and this is something that people don't like for some reason. It's like they call it separating artists from the art. Her personal views on life are hers, right? Whether
right,
she that's hers. Uh, but I hear a lot of people say, "Well, I'm not going to support her or her books." Well, basically, what you're telling me when you really do that, because look, I don't like a lot of writers. There's some writers that I won't read, but I'm never going to sit there and tell anybody not to read them. I'm never going to tell that. I would never tell anybody, and that includes some of the more infamous books in the world. I think reading is it's so important in development, and it's
yes,
interesting, and it's good for people to get to on both sides. Um, but I like her books. I think she has a wonderful imagination, and I don't like the fact that people try to to jump down her about her views, and they use her books as weapons against her. It's like
right, right. No, I
I'm not
agree.
gonna
I
buy,
agree with that.
it's like, you know what? You're no better than someone who's banning books, basically, because that's basically
Right,
what you're doing backhanded. Backhanded, you're trying to get her books suppressed and banned. And what does that make you? Uh, let's see. Peter Snow mentions Stephen King and Peter Straub did The Talisman. That was a great book as well. Hop says here, curious your thoughts about movie adaptations to screen. like it or The Shining? Are they better or worse than the original work? That's a really good question too, and that comes
Mm,
a lot
yes.
it comes up a lot. Um, like I personally cannot stand the movie version of The Shining. Cannot stand it. The book is
Right, right. No, I think some books were not meant to be visual because I think when you really sit now for me, I write with intention of someday optioning my book into a script or writing my own script and optioning it. Uh, but I don't truly believe that all books should become visual
no,
because sometimes the writer wants everybody to have like their own idea or whatever ideology, whatever visual they have in their head. And I feel like once you script it and you format it on film, then everybody's going to have the same exact vision of it. And when you read a book, you don't want to be disappointed, like all the Twilight and all that, like you read it and then it becomes a movie and then it's just not what you really visualized in your head. I think sometimes some of the Stephen King books are like that. Like I love his stories. I think they're brilliant, but then sometimes the movies are very disappointing.
very disappointing. Very disappointing. There was. I always looked at Stephen King like every time they put his name over a movie, you know, every time they put his name over the title of the movie, that movie suffered. It suffered. When you didn't put his
Yes.
name on the cover, Stephen King's Christine or Stephen King's Cujo or Stephen King's, I mean, I don't even know if it. I don't know. I don't think it. I don't even think it did that on The Shining. I think The Shining was name was not over the title, but there's a lot of his work where they put the name over, and it just suffered versus the ones that didn't. Um,
Right.
uh, let's see.
But I will tell you, I think that lawyers like Tom Clancy or James Patterson, some of them really write with the intention that everybody can visually see exactly what it is when they read. They do I love Tom Clancy. He does a very good job of when you read the book and then you see the movie, you're not as disappointed.
Right, but they put so much there. I mean, to me, I'm thinking as a writer. I mean, here you are. You're in both worlds. You're both a script writer, a screenwriter, and a novelist. So it's got to, I mean, watching a movie like The Shining, you're sitting there on one hand as a screenwriter, you're sitting there going like, writing this out. It's a good screenplay. It's interesting. It's it's within the 90 minutes or 2 hours that I need it to be in. But at the same time, as a novelist, you're sitting there going like, I'm not writing The Shining because none of this happened in The Shining. It's like to me,
Yes.
my question is like, if you like the book so much and you wouldn't and you paid an option for it, then why are you messing with it? I mean,
Right. I think
uh,
the only way is to really have control, like, over your work, I mean, yeah, and I guess maybe back in those days when they were really converting all of his books into movies, I mean, I guess now, well, except for it, but I like the book a lot better, to be honest. Um, yeah, it's just such a fine line, you know.
it is.
To
It
really
really
get
is.
your book out there into a to film because you're seeing it totally different than like your to me in my opinion than like your audience. You know what I mean?
Like I didn't know that Stephen King actually got a chance to write. He actually got a chance to write a script. A screenplay for his movie. What he didn't know till later was that Kubrick or Stanley Kubrick said, "Go ahead, send give me what you got." He gave it to him, and then as soon as he walked out through the door, he deposited. He's like, that's sort of rough right there. Um,
Right, right.
if you were asked to write a screenplay based on another author's work. If they said, okay, here's what we want you to do. We know you have your own, we have your own, but we like your skill enough that we want you to write a screenplay for let's say The Shining. Um, I mean, would you change anything from the book, or would you just format it to basically what the book is, or would you try to impose your own voice into it like they did with Kubrick? Kubrick changed it around
Oh,
drastically.
no, because I feel like as a writer, especially as an author, I know how important it is to have like your voice. Like that
Mm,
person has a specific voice, and I have a lot of clients, and I've adapted a book to a script. And I really wanted to make sure that her voice did not get lost at all, because when you're transitioning a book to a script, I told her, I said, you're going to lose a lot because this is like 400-page book and we're only doing like 120, and but I think it's very important to keep the emotion, and I try to really write the way that it's written as a book, but just condense it into, like that format. And same, I've been uh, converting scripts into books too.
right. That's a
So it's
that
the
you know
same kind of process,
they
and
used to
I
do
think
that. They
it,
used to do that a lot in the 70s and 80s. They used to make hit movies and novel, make and put it in novel form. Alan Dean Foster was like the king of that. He would write, like Alien or Superman or Star Wars or whatnot. They went back there and they wrote after the movie came out, then they went back and wrote the book for it, the movie companion piece. I don't think that happens very often anymore.
right. Well, and I think it's important, unless we're starting from beginning and I can share my voice. But I feel like if somebody has written something, whether it's a script and they want it into a book, or whether it's a book and they want it into a script, whichever, it's their voice. They created it. I'm formatting it. I'm formatting it either into a manuscript or I'm formatting it into a script. And I think that's very important not to lose, because they're the ones that created it. I mean,
Now,
it's their
yes,
voice.
it's their voice. Let me bounce out to the chat real quick. You guys are knocking it out lately. Let's see. Dean Koontz, man, I wish they could get Dean Koontz movie
Oh yeah,
right.
I like Dean Koontz.
I like Dean Koontz too, but they never adapted anything that's been like truthful. Um,
Yeah.
the Snell says I can read whole books in one sitting. Me too. I can relate to those kids, and it scared me. Is this something that you hear these days? We hear about this more and more, and that is it couldn't be written today. It couldn't be written. It couldn't be published today. Does that
Yeah.
as a creative writer, when you hear people say that, like, well, you couldn't do that today, you couldn't write that today, you couldn't do, does that give you cause for alarm when you
No,
hear
not at
people
all,
say
because
that?
society is always changing. Technology is always changing. People don't sit as long. Sitting for a 2-hour movie, it takes a lot, unless it's really something they're engaged. Now they can sit for hours, either, doing a video game. I just think sometimes technology or society is kind of always forming us, whether we like it or not. We're adapting to whatever is going on in our society. And so I think, Mm, maybe back in the days, people could really sit and watch Gone with the Wind.
Mhm,
Um, I mean, now, um, I think maybe they could, but I think they probably have to block out their time, or they have to be in a mood. Now it's like, if I'm gonna binge watch something on Netflix, I really kind of, okay, I'm blocking out my time. It's not like, yeah, I think that is true, but I'm not alarmed by that.
yeah, I'm with you about that. I mean, it does seem like, even putting this to myself, like, I mean, it used to be like I could just power through a book in one sitting. I mean, that was no problem at all. I mean, I find myself doing that less and doing it less than I used to. It's like, I'll be sitting there reading. I'll go, I'll put my head. Okay, I'm reading till page 75. I'm getting to page 75, and then before I would just sit there and say, okay, now I'm to 150. But now I hit 75, and I was saying, I know I'm putting the book down, and I'm like, and it's like that's not how it used to be. It used to be I could just crank it out, rip through it. 300-page book. I was like, I could go to Barnes and Noble, grab a coffee, and I could power it. I could, blitz read, speed read. But I don't do that as much anymore. I'm not sure if it's because I'm older, or if it is because I've fallen aside in society, and have that, that attention, the short attention span. I loathe to think of myself as having that. Like, can you, like, could I sit there and watch a Gone with the Wind without getting up or without checking my phone? Well, I could do that without
Right.
checking. I could do that without checking my phone because I don't take it outside the house. So I have no problem doing that. But still, you think about that, and when you write, when you write your novels, is that in the back of your mind, Stacy, that you have to write, like, like, again, it's like doing a movie for 90 minutes. 90 minutes, it's because of the budget, but 90 minutes because of the attention span. Um, do you find yourself
Right.
when you write your books, instead of writing that 400-page mammoth, that big mamma jamma, do you find yourself writing like a 260-page book because you feel that's what the average reader can read before they get bored and shiftless? No.
No, I really honestly just write to get the story out. If it's a short story, great. If it's a long story, great. Like I don't really uh the link to me isn't so much for my audience because I mean I know like kind of who my target audience is. So I can sort of tell by whichever genre, is this something they can really sit through or is this something they're not going to be able to sit through? So I think that's important too, is kind of knowing your target. But yeah, usually I just kind of write whatever the story is.
Let's see. Smartphone element. Yep. People are so visual now. We need to inspire, not discourage creative thinking and imagination. Yeah, we gotta encourage reading. Reading is absolutely.
Yes.
If we don't read, we are doomed as a society. Thinking and creative thinking and critical thinking, and it develops the imagination. You gotta have it. If you don't, it's
Well,
ironic. It's ironic that you see these people playing games, right? They'll sit there hours of playing games, and yet don't think about the hours it took for the writers to write the story. Using their
correct.
imagination. Oh, this is a badass game. Yeah, I love it. All right. Oh, here's the book. Here's the book. Like Warcraft. Here's the novel of Warcraft. Oh, I can't be reading that. It's just like, why?
Well, and I
Why?
feel like writing separates us from like animals. I mean, we all have emotions, we're all sensitive, we all take care of we have all of that. But reading really separates us from like nature and animals and insects, anything else that's evolving, you know? Um, Storytelling is, I think, the only way to kind of keep society going. I mean, if we don't have our stories, whether we're writing it down or we're passing it from generation to generation, it's like, yeah, I just think that reading is just so, to me, reading is like the whole like human, just what separates us.
Right. I think without reading, there's nothing else. There's really
Yeah,
nothing.
exactly.
There's no mathematics. There's no mathematics. There's no music.
There's no logic. Yeah, there's no logic. There's really no I mean, what can you create, I mean, there's no science. Yeah, no, I mean, I totally,
No rockets. No space program. No, none of that. Everything is tied to reading. It, uh,
even reading a GPS or a map, it's a different type of reading, but you still have to read. look at it, you
Yep.
know.
Snow saying turn off your 5G wireless. That's right. It might be Patrick because she read something like it before. Sometimes I get into a series, um, but most of the series I do follow. I do watch out for that. Sometimes it's like I love Precedent Child. They've written themselves into a corner. Andrew Vax, he decided he wanted to end his one character and start up another one, and the other one was like a weaker version of the original. So yeah, you're right. There's part of that. Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury predicted a super realistic world would emerge from the loss of love for reading and imagination. Yeah, he is absolutely 100% right. Uh, there are, I'm sure our guest knows this. Stacy knows that there are 4,400 books on the ban list. Um, did you know that?
I didn't realize there were that many. No.
There's 4,400 on the ban list. Freedom, America. Uh, see,
I'm into that. So
it is so relaxing reading in the garden. Yep. I admit I will take a soak and I will go in there for an hour and read. I shut off everything away. Says Tom says he lists biographies too. Me too. I'll read anybody's biography. Snell says this is the age of Aquarius, the total abandonment of emotion and love, rejecting oxytocin in favor of the pragmatism, serotonin. Uh, I I don't know what to say to the last one, but I mean, I like reading anything and everything and too. And I love the fact that you read action adventure novels. That's really cool. I know a lot of women do not necessarily, you will find a man, you will find a man reading a woman writer more than a woman reading a man writer.
mm.
Do you think
Oh,
so?
um, yes, no, for me, I love sci-fi and I love horror. You cannot get enough bloody or gory. um, because I l- you were asking me about some of my earlier writing, and like I was saying, I was kind of joking about how I would write myself, like I wrote myself into Star Wars. Star Wars was that, Empire Strikes Back. I love sci-fi. Logan's Run, Blade Runner, all of those, because there's something about technology and having to have a human connection or relationship in the day of like a technology, or era of technology. Um, and then horror, I just love the human like tragedy because I feel like we all have like our demons and we all have these dark sides of us and how we have our battles. And I mean, if you can relate to something like Anne Rice, no, I mean, I don't eat people. I don't like the taste of blood. I mean, but I can relate to some of the suffering. There's so much suffering, and I feel like that's kind of important to have that human, you know, sensitivity. I guess you would call it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Um, what, what do you like about writing today for yourself? I mean, how do you develop your characters? I mean, let's say you do sit down and as far as terms of writing them for the movies, do you write? I mean, can you separate writing a novel, from a screenplay, or do you write the
Oh
novel
yes.
for the screenplay and then for the movie?
Uh, no, I can separate that. That's that's not a problem for me. And also it's kind of like whatever the client is kind of asking me to do. But I mean, personally, I like to write my books first and then transform them into scripts. Um, my characters kind of interesting. I guess most writers do this. I kind of take like a pinch of this person and a little pinch of that person, and then I kind of develop it into somebody totally different that I don't know. But I guess a lot of writers use kind of people in their world, you know,
Right, right.
which
Let's see.
I do, but sometimes they could be a different level of me, you
So you
know?
put you find yourself putting a lot of you into the story?
Sometimes,
Be
but
fun
not
though.
always. But not always. Sometimes it just kind of evolves, you know. It just like
Right.
I have like a specific character, and then she starts kind of just, or he starts just evolving, and sometimes they just kind of take off on their own, and they just have to be, you know.
Clive Cussler did that toward the end of his run. He interjected himself in his books, like a Hitchcock. He would write himself into some of his adventures that he's writing about. And the characters would be there going like, "Well, who's that? Who's that person? Oh, did he say his name? Yeah, Cussler. Clive Cussler." It's like I just felt like that was a really cool homage to both himself and to Hitchcock. And I found myself going to writers and going like, I wonder how many times they've actually put themselves into this. Um, well, except for Andrew Vax. Honest to God, I didn't want to know. Did not don't need to know because that's a dark
Right.
hole.
Yes.
Yeah, he's the best writer. He's the best fiction writer I've ever read, but his books are not for everybody at all.
Yes, no, that's
So,
true.
have
I
you read his
do
books?
think my emotions sometimes do play into my characters. Especially like if like I wrote Creatures of the Night when my grandmother passed away. And so I had a lot of emotion. It has nothing to do with my grandmother, but I had like all these emotions that were like poor, good emotions, bad emotion, all mix of emotions, and it kind of spewed out as Creatures of the Night. And once I started writing that, after 4 days, I finished. Get with the story, just the story. Um, yeah, and then sometimes like angels survive, like my reverend, he's just totally made up. He's completely made up. He is not, and anybody that I actually know, no specific character or personality. He's just completely made up. So it just
Good one.
kind of depends.
Is it more fun creating from to shaping a
Yeah.
character solely by yourself, or is it more interesting when you draw upon a character or a person you know in real life? I would think that it would be easier drawing from someone you know in real life, but I would think it would be much more of a challenge to create a character from the ground up.
Right, right. Yeah. I would say both. I mean, sometimes if there's like a specific personality that I really like, and I thought, ooh, this is a great, kind of a character development that I want to do. But then once that character kind of starts taking off, then I find out like they're their own kind of uh their own entity, you know? And I'm sure this is very true for a lot of writers. Like I can tell you exactly what my characters eat, what when they sleep, how they sleep, everything.
That's
They
cool.
just kind of, yeah, they just kind of start taking off, you know?
That would be cool to be able to write characters. I mean, I can understand when someone gets into a groove when they write a series. When they start
Yes.
writing series, because it's like they have a lot to say through that character. You know, I mean, and I think that is a lot of fun. I mean, I love writing. I love reading series. When a series is really good, it's like I'm all in for it. Because you can tell the writer has a lot of energy for the characters.
Right.
Sometimes they go past, or they'll either get into blocks, like write themselves into a corner, or sometimes you just tell by the writing, they're just there to crank it out for the publisher. There's no fire, there's no vim. I mean, you just look at it and go like, wow, he must have cranked this out, and he must have cranked this out in a couple of months, because it's not very good. It's not a typical excellence. He or she's excellence. You know, uh, so I mean, sometimes I guess there's a trap for that, and there is a trap for writing a successful series versus a successful standalone. I mean, that's one thing I noticed about Anne Rice books, is that they have a lot of the same characters in the books, but they're not connected necessarily. Like, you don't need to read one in order to understand the other. I think that's smart writing. I think when you write a series of book, like Tom Clancy did that. He put Jack Ryan, but by the time he finished it, it was a cartoon. And
Yeah.
when Jack Ryan was a CIA, when he worked for the CIA, he was exciting. When he started becoming a senator and a vice president, I mean, and then he got to be president, it just got cartoony. It was just like
Yeah,
everything was
it's
big.
too much. And I think
Yeah,
sometimes it's too much for the person trying to digest it. Cause I mean, that's how I kind of think of like my audience. Like, I'm planning a meal. That's my book or my script. Well, we'll say right now my book, like, this is a meal, you know? And I'm like, if you're going to write like a series, your meal has to be kind of like cohesive, right? I mean, it all kind of has to blend in. You can't just force feed somebody something after they're like, they already have their like a preconceived notion already about something. And then
right.
suddenly it's a completely different character. I mean, it's really not fair for the audience, or either while they're watching it or reading it, you
You know,
know?
it's funny. We're talking about Michael Moorcock. Oh God, I love his books. Yep, he's great.
Yes.
Uh, the we were talking about J.K. Rowling earlier, and she wrote the Order of the Phoenix. To this day, I have never seen. I've only seen one other writer do this. Thomas Harris. Thomas Harris did this first. Actually, he did it first, where he wrote a character, and the character blew up, became bigger than life, and all of a sudden, that's all he was known for. And he got furious because he couldn't write anything else. They wouldn't no people really wouldn't let him write anything else. And so he got really pissed off, and he said, "Well, I'm going to destroy this character. I'm going to make him people where people can't stand him, and this and that." And so that's what he tried to do. Didn't really necessarily work all the way. Some aspect it did, because he took another supporting character and made them, just ruined them, really. And you're sitting there going like, man, why did he do that? I mean, because he was angry. He wrote angry. This is, you're surprised when you see it come at you. Like, wow, they released this. I mean, couldn't his editor see how pissed off he was? Same thing with J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling was sick and tired of Harry Potter, and in that book it shows, because Harry's a straight out asshole in the whole book. Never before, never afterwards. But she was
Right.
mad. Her writing was angry. And it was just so, like, it was almost like a physical thing.
Right.
And it's
Right.
like, it's like, I just hate this, I hate writing this. I hate that I'm stuck in this. I want to get out of it. I want to write, like, will people read anything else that I write because I don't have Harry Potter in it? You can just feel all that, just,
Right.
yeah. You ever had
I
that?
mean,
I mean, have you ever seen that, or have you ever experienced that yourself when
well,
you
I know
writing?
like my creatures of the night, like I said when I wrote that, and it does have a lot of anger in it, emotion of kind of what was kind of going on in my life too. Um, but I think that's why I don't necessarily agree you should have a specific genre. I mean, I know traditionally, but I kind of like to break tradition. I feel like you should write whatever you want to write. And I mean, that's why I have like mystery romance, or I have the spy thriller, I have vampire. I mean, I kind of feel like, yeah, you want to have a specific thing. Like my characters are all very, very strong characters, and the ending isn't always as happy go lucky unicorn, everything ends up fabulous, because life is not like that, and I didn't want to end my books that way. um it has satisfying endings, but I really feel like that's how authors get really burnt out and exhausted, by trying to write the same kind of genre, like, because then your audience is expecting, oh, it's Harry Potter, this is Star Wars, this is Blake.
Yeah,
They get really, oh, it's a lawyer. They get kind of attached, they get emotionally attached to these characters and these series, and, oh, what's going to happen in the next one. And it's very, very hard. I kind of call it so like kind of like soap opera acting.
yeah.
They get
Figure-
so used to that character every day and days of our life and whatever, that they
I've
can't
always been a
imagine breaking the mold of this person going and being in a movie or doing something else, you
I know
know?
it's really great you mentioned because I'm with you. I am man. When people talk about best actors, honestly, if you really think about it, we always talk about TV and movies and whatnot, but we don't really talk about soap operas. But good Lord Almighty, you are so right. That's some of the best acting in Hollywood today are soap operas, especially some of
Oh,
the older
yes.
actors. How many
Hmm.
times did Erica get married? How many times does she have to get ready for play that, over and over and over? Every fourth year, it's time to get married again. I mean, but they stayed in it and they try to bring it to life. I mean, it's got to be the most difficult thing to do. But wow, yeah, I'm thinking about the writers too. I think of writers who write them inside. Like we're talking about author Conan Doyle. He killed off Sherlock Holmes. He got to be dislike him so much that he wanted to go ahead and oh my God, no doubt, Tom, no doubt, The Bold and the Beautiful. Yes.
Oh, yes.
What's the other one? The Young and the Restless. I
Yes.
I like the guy who plays God, what's his name? Oh, God. Well, he played in the Rap Patrol. Well,
uh,
him and
I don't
Melody
watch soap
Melody
operas.
Scott Thomas, Eric Braeden, and Melody
uh,
Scott Thomas. They've been doing that same dance for over 40 years. And if you don't even think about it until you think about it, and you think about that has got to be some of the most professional, the most complete actor because they've gone through. I mean, I've heard people doing plays for a year. Like they'll do a play for a year, then they leave it. They
right,
establish.
right.
But good
Or like
lord,
Broadway musicals, or
right.
yeah, where they do the same show every day, Sunday matinee. Yeah, exactly.
Now you are one last thing before we they go.
Sure.
You are gonna you are gonna you're thinking about filming are you thinking about getting filming your own movie, right? Is that something you wanted to do?
Um,
To direct.
my books, I I want, of course, to have some kind of control. I don't mean that in a negative way, but I think I'm not sure if I want to option them out, or if I want to use kind of like my film team that I already have, and kind of develop my books to scripts.
Right, right, right.
I
I
mean,
mean, I
I've
just
had some film companies pick up on my books, and that was before COVID, and then COVID kind of ruined all of that. But I was very, I'm blessed that I even had some bites to, my books, which is always an author's, for me, a dream come true to maybe one day have your book into a film. Um, yeah, that's definitely something I definitely want to do.
So what's going on for you for 2025? Where you got any acting projects on the board? Are you in the middle of a new novel? Are you planning I know, I know your calendar is out there. So um
Yes.
what are some of your goals that you see for yourself coming next year?
Sure, sure. Well, I have a book that's coming out this week, Philomena, which I will be starting my book launch on that, all my marketing and everything. It's going to be available on Amazon in about 24 hours. So you can find it on Amazon. And I will probably be pushing that until past January because it's just now, it's almost November. And then I'm finishing up projects now. We'll be starting to film on some of those in a couple of months. Um, and then, of course, I'd like to work on my books into scripts and turning some of my stories more into books. Yeah, always creating. That's always
Always
important.
creative. Always, always. Well, I tell you what, we've hit our mark here. I kept you past it. So,
Okay.
I kept this fast because I want to get past our little tech bump. I want to make sure I got you your full time allotted because you deserve that. Um,
Oh, well,
um,
thank you. I appreciate that.
I definitely hope you come back again.
Oh, well, thank you. Me
I enjoyed
too.
talking, and the chat really enjoyed you as well. I can see that. And
Good.
yeah, I would love to talk to Eric Braden or Melody Scott Thomas. I would do that in a heartbeat. I would love to talk about to Eric Braden. His character in the Rap Patrol was really really interesting. It was an old TV show from the '60s. And
Oh,
Eric Braden played the German. He was supposed to be like the German bad guy, but he was more like he was a German soldier. He wasn't a fascist. Like he wasn't part of the Nazi Germany, but he was just a soldier doing his job. And so he sort of toward the end, he only ran for 2 years, but toward the end of the show, he sort of became more like an anti-hero. He was chasing them all around the desert, but like sometimes he would work with the allies guy, Christopher George. It was a very good show. It was a little bit ahead of his time actually, but it was really good. And sometimes they'll still play it out on reruns. But Eric Braeden, that's where he got his start at. Before he had he gave him his original German name. That's what he acted underneath his original German name, Hans Gudrun, I think his name was. Uh, and then he changed it to Eric Braden.
very interesting. Wow. No, I love being on the show. I've thoroughly enjoyed chatting with you and look forward to connecting with you soon. So it was a
Yeah,
lot
so
of
we
fun.
definitely will stay in touch. We'll stay in touch when you got something fresh or new. Just send me a blob,
Sure.
so I can go ahead and I can talk about it. I can talk about it here, or I'll bring you back on. If you got a new movie completed or whatnot, just let me know, and then I'll
Okay.
bring you in and we'll talk about it.
All right, great. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Stay right where you're at just for 1 minute, and I'm
Okay.
going to turn to the chat here and say thank you again so much. Lately, I swear for the last month here, it's been absolutely insane as far as engagement goes. Uh, the people are here in our chat; they are talking up a storm here. It makes it a lot of fun to keep
Good.
track of both sides of it. I love it.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you to Snow and Tom and Hobbs, Amanda, Zan. And let's see who else came in here that I did not see. I want to say hi to. Of course, our good friend Jennifer Tuck, also a writer. Betty Jean, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming in. Let's see who else is here. I want to thanks to all the chat for coming in. We'll be back tomorrow night. We'll be back tomorrow night with um, another writer, another screenwriter. Craig Hammond will be here with us tomorrow, along with actor Sam Dobbins, and they'll be here, and we'll be talking it up with them. we have so much to talk about. I don't even know where to begin with both these guys. Their body of work and their both as an actor and as a screenwriter is absolutely amazing. It's going to be one hell of a show tomorrow night. And then on Thursday, we have our good friend, our new friend, Louis Rocky. I'm not going to say his last name. I'm not going to kill it. But he will be here on Friday, 8 o'clock, and we'll be catching up with him and talking about his new movie, Director's Cut. And that'll be at 8 o'clock as well. I know I'm not going to kill people's name if I can help it. And I have a Greek actress that I'm going to be interviewing in a couple of weeks. I have no idea how to say her name at all. Her name is Zell, and I have no idea. I'm going to be calling her Zell, like like a one name soccer player. All right, stay right where you have 1 more minute, please, Stacy, to the chat. We're going to say good night, and we'll see you tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Thanks for your support, and we will see you soon. Peace.
Thank you. Good night.